All right, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Audiobiz live coverage of NAMM 2021. Unfortunately, we all can't be at NAMM this year in wonderful sunny California. So we are coming to you live. I'm coming from Wisconsin. Today's guests, we've got people from all over the globe, from wonderful England. I would probably say it's nice and gloomy there too, just like it is here in Wisconsin. And also another Wisconsinite coming to us live. But just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping before we jump in with our guests from Allen and Heath. First off, we wanted to remind everyone that this is an interactive live stream. So make sure that you put your comments in there. We can bring those in and interact. Feel free to ask questions to our illustrious guests, and keep this flowing here. We've also got some fun things happening during these live streams. First off, we are giving away some wonderful mystery swag boxes from our vendors. We're going to be dropping some secret word during the live stream at some point. Make sure that you collect all of those secret live words and put those on the Audiobiz NAMM page here, and I will pop that up. We are going to have that on the bottom of the screen there at audiobiz.com/NAMM 2021. And you can register those secret words and you will be entered to get one of our mystery swag boxes and also potentially some other big prizes. We've got some other prizes that we are giving out. Allen and Heath is wonderfully donated us a Z mixer to give away to one of our viewers. So before we bring on everyone, let's just give a short video on what a mystery swag box is, just so you guys know what that is, and we'll be back with the guys from Allen and Heath.
So what is a mystery box? We've collected swag from all of our manufacturers, plus some guaranteed prizes that will be in the limited edition Audiobiz NAMM 2021 mystery box. These boxes will be packed at random and filled to the brim with t-shirts, hats, stickers, all the fun swag you'd normally get at NAMM. We've collected from all of our manufacturers. We're gonna pack these at random and send them to you. So all you have to do is collect the 5 secret words. We're gonna drop one every single day. You're just gonna go to this web address, fill out the form, submit your secret words, and be entered to win. So these mystery boxes are limited to the first 30 people that submit the correct 5 secret words. So you don't wanna miss out on the videos, and you don't wanna miss your chance to win one of our limited edition mystery boxes. This mystery box could be yours. It's so heavy. Don't sleep, get a mystery box.
Hey, it's Johnny Sparkle. He was able to get on. He was having some technical difficulties there earlier. So welcome, everyone. We have Keith from Allen and Heath in the wonderful UK. And we have Mr. Pat, Johnny Sparkle McConnell here from American Music and Sound and Allen and Heath USA. So welcome, guys. We appreciate you coming on board for our virtual NAMM tours.
Thanks, Sean. Keith, how are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Thanks for joining us. What is it? It's going to get to be beer 30 by the time we end up this little interview, I think.
I'm prepared. I'm ready.
I'm ready too. It's always good. Being the good Irishman that I am, I'm drinking Guinness Stout. So, we'll have to crack that a little bit later. It's good to have another Redbeard on the screen here. I'm sad, Keith. You changed your name.
Yeah. When I joined up, I did. I think you missed it, Pat. But I was going to go with not Redbeard, and then I realized we realized I did have a red beard. So then it was Redbeard 2. Then I was thinking maybe Orange Beard. And now I've completely wimped out and just gone for Keith.
You could go Mr. Mustache.
Yeah,
Red Stash, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Yeah, I think I'm the only guy at NAMM so far who's actually in an event with stereo Redbeards.
Yes. It was great. Last year I was actually on the trade show floor and I ran into a friend, and he was working in a booth, and there was it was like a gathering of about 7 Redbeards all in the same vicinity. So we had to pull everyone in for a picture. It was kind of a rare sighting, you know.
Awesome. Guys, I do have a couple questions specific to that. You know, like there's all kinds of stories about, you know, you guys don't take offense at the term gingers, right?
No.
It's just fun social banter at this point, because I don't want to not be sensitive. But like gingers are, you know, like people claim that they're smarter. There's some stories that they're more virile. But the thing the one that I want to know about, and I think this might be truth, is that you guys don't feel pain. And I think that has to do with like, maybe that's how you can drink as much as you guys actually do. Because I can't go like that anymore. And I'm thinking it's because I just don't have a red beard.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't know if you can buy, you know, like the ones that hook over your ears. I mean, you can get one of those and see how you go.
Yeah, especially for like the part that I'm thinking for me to be really good is because it is NAMM week, and normally that's, you know, a propensity for a lot of fun stuff happening in California, and in either the manufacturer or sometimes even in the customer's role. That could include, you know, maybe a couple of beers. If I could just wear the beard to get me through the night, and most importantly the next morning, you know, that might be good.
Or someone comes and finds you on the floor somewhere and just hooks it over your ear and you get back up again. It'd be fine.
Snap a couple of photos, post on social.
Awesome. Well, unfortunately, we aren't all able to be in California this year, but we, all of us combined, have been going to NAMM for several years. Does anyone have any crazy NAMM stories or, you know, weird people that popped up in the booth? I mean, you have to have something. Who Keith is thinking?
I'm trying to think. I mean, we met Sparkle at I think your first NAMM for Allen Heath was when we met, and that was a really good fun time because that was my first time in America as well. So it was kind of like a whoa, look, stuff, things, everything,
palm trees.
I know. Yeah. Why is it so warm? It's January.
Yeah, I'm the veteran of a lot of NAMM shows, and Keith, that one was a blast. I think it took us all of about an hour to find a pub. It was good. But you know, booth setup and all that stuff, and it's our opportunity for folks who don't know. I work in the U.S. as a regional manager, but Keith is actually on the product teams from the UK, and while we do get to talk and speak regularly, and we interact all the time, we don't always get to see each other in person. So it is kind of it's a bummer a little bit that we don't get together in person this year, but this is fun and we're doing the best we can with all that stuff. So it is great to see you and have you in on this. I think to answer Sean's question, the most fun thing that I've ever, as you can see, I'm a bass player, right? But a few years back, there's 2 really amazing stories that I have, of course, that are tied to bass. And it's specifically not Allen and Heath related, but if you're a bass geek and you're aware of a couple of players, I was at a booth one time at, you know, close a show where, you know, people have a tendency to crack a beer and hang out for a couple minutes. And I'm just hanging out talking with this guy, and this guy says hi and he's talking to me, and I didn't really recognize who he was. Just the nicest guy in the world that I've ever met. And I finally look at his badge, you know, just kind of doing the badge, you know, the show thing, like, oh, and who are you? And he goes, and he's like, yeah, where do you work? And I'm like, this little music store in Madison, Wisconsin. He's like, oh yeah, I think I bought a guitar there once. And I'm like, oh really? Who are you? And I look, and it's Flea from the Chili Peppers. And I'm like, yeah, he's full of it. And then he went on to describe the guy that I worked with who owned the shop, great big guy and just a character. And he goes, yeah, I remember him. He's blah, blah, blah. What was his name? Is it Paul, Pete, Pat? You're Pat. And I'm like, no, it's Pete. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I still have that acoustic guitar. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, like what are the chances, right? And such a huge guy, you know, so prolific in the industry for such great stuff that I love. And then I had the opportunity another time that a friend of mine had me show up at a booth for a pickup manufacturer. And there was a Windham Hill artist by the name of Michael Manring. And he's kind of famous for doing these incredibly orchestrated bass solo pieces. And he uses 3 instruments. He wears 2. And I didn't know this at the time. I'm standing at the booth. He goes, "Will you hold my bass?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, I'll go get you water, like whatever you want. No problem. I just want to see you play." And he's like, no, hold your hands out. And he actually had me hold his third bass. And I actually got to participate by holding his bass during the solo. You know, I was like, okay, I'm not worthy, you know, but it was fun. So, but now it's more exciting on the console side of the industry. You know, we're doing it virtual this year, but as Keith and I met a couple years back, Allen Heath has had tremendous booth attendance over the last couple of years, and we're going to do that virtually this year. So we're looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, it is always swamped. And the cool thing is that, you know, about doing things virtually, we're able to reach somewhat of a wider audience. We got a cool guy here. It's Alex coming in from Alaska. So thanks, Alex, for getting up early and watching this. Alex has an Avantis, I believe. So, you know, a fellow Allen Heath user out there. So it's cool to see that people are joining in and, you know, getting to be exposed to more than the people that sometimes would be able to come out to the NAMM show. So it's kind of cool. So, you know, speaking of Allen Heath, you know, I always find this an interesting fact. Sparkle likes to do this when we do some of the trainings, but I always found it interesting that there was never really a guy named Allen nor a guy named Heath at Allen Heath. So how does that happen? It's kind of weird when you've got a company named after somebody that doesn't exist. So,
do you want to know my answer to that? Because
yes, I'd love to. You know, it's kind of like folklore. You know, at this point,
it's shrouded in mystery, and there are many different tales, and it's all kinds of things. But I think one is that there was a ball bearing factory or something else. But it's a bizarre thing because for me anyway, you know, I've always associated the name with mixers, and I've always been like, oh yeah, they make those guys make awesome mixers, and yeah, oh you show up to a venue and go, oh, of course, Allen Heath, whatever. But to think that name comes from ostensibly I think it was just to do with legal stuff, and it was more difficult to change the name of the company than it was to just keep the name, because that was where it was registered in that building or something along those lines. So they just went, yeah, what should we call it? I don't know, Allen Heath. Well, it's already called Allen Heath. That's fine. We'll just call it that. Like they just kind of didn't care. And it's so funny because in this day and age, everything there's a lot of marketing, there's a lot of thought goes into that kind of thing, and they were just like, no, we want to make mixers. What are they called? I don't care, whatever. You know, we just want to make a mixer for Pink Floyd or something. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because I would agree. You know, Allen Heath, the namesake is synonymous with consoles. You know, it's one of the ones that stand out in the marketplace, which is, it's kind of funny. Yeah, if you hear that story, the origin story of, yeah, it was just a random name kind of thing. So, but yeah,
if you find a 60-year-old ball bearing somewhere, that might also be an Allen Heath. But just
I think I work with a 60-year-old ball bearing. He's on our management team.
Nice. Hopefully he's watching.
Yeah. No, that was just jest. Keith, do you ever have anybody like come up to you at a show, or anybody ever call the factory and say that they want to speak to Mr. Allen or they want to speak to Mr. Heath?
Absolutely.
You can weed out the telemarketers that way.
Yes, I'm looking for a Mr. Heath.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Hey,
so
Sean,
with,
you know, I just before you go on to the next question, I don't think that you told us about any NAMM stories that you might have. You got anything up your sleeve, or?
I don't have any. I mean, I have spent it on the side of vendor. I have spent it on the side of consumer. I have spent it on the side of rep. So I've got to experience all sides of it. I don't envy the vendor portion anymore of the early mornings and the late nights of setting up, taking down, and being on your feet all day. You know, but I get my steps in as a rep, getting to jump around everywhere, you know, so that's kind of good. But yeah, I don't have any really crazy NAMM stories. I have a crazy trade show story. I did get hit in the head one time setting up for a trade show with a big 50 amp twist lock that an electrician got dropped from the ceiling. So that was kind of interesting. Wow. A near death experience at a trade show. So, but
well, I can say this because, as you can see, my name, McConnell, I too am Irish, but one of the things, I don't know if it's the fact that gingers can't feel pain, but you can't really hurt an Irishman by hitting him in the head.
Very true. Very true. So, it's interesting, you mentioned how the booth is normally jam-packed at NAMM, which it has been. It's always barely even standing room. A lot of times I'm doing rep calls from the aisle saying, that console over there with 20 people around it. But you guys are actually up for a bunch of awards this year and have won just a ton of awards the last couple of years, which is really awesome. And it's been really across the whole line, which is kudos to you guys. Lots of design innovations coming on at Allen Heath right now. So what are we up for this year? I can't for awards.
So Avantis is up for a tech award, I believe.
Yep. Keith, do you want to cover a little bit of that history? Because I think you were the product specialist for a couple of years running for where we might have won, right?
Yeah, that's true. He is winning.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first tech award that we got was for SQ, and that's the first tech award. We had been up for maybe 15, 16 in the past. So to get that win was huge, and it was especially exciting when we got it back to the UK, and we've got a little award, and we took it in. I went and took it into the developers, because we've got a big team of R&D engineers who mostly are locked into dark rooms and put to work. So we just showed them a little shiny thing and said, "Hey, well done, guys," because took it in, and they were chuffed. They were really, really pleased. So that was nice. And then we won it again last year. So it's awesome. It's really exciting, and that kind of progression as well, and having a tech award. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were saying, do the customers often look at those tech awards? And I think it's almost not, because some of the tech awards are at the you're saying about dealers, and you're saying about people distributing and other manufacturers, and it's kind of almost an industry thing where people recognize that's incredible. The customers already know, because we've already sold tons of them. So they're not kind of not making too much difference for those guys. But to get that award means a huge amount especially for the team, like I say.
That's awesome. So this year would be the trifecta if we can bring home the Avantis, right?
Absolutely.
I have faith. It's you can't compete. So it's been interesting this year how things have been changing. Obviously, we've all been being quarantined and doing a lot of things virtually. But it's really cool on the Allen Heath Facebook page and stuff. We're seeing a lot of images of how people are using Allen Heath desks during these times, and a lot of it's kind of really shifted over to the the streaming aspects and studio, and that's one of the really cool things. It seems like we've got a lot of options, especially with SQ, your baby there, with the interfacing. A lot of people are using those for streaming. We've also got, products like Zed, that a lot of people don't even think about as a killer interface there. So see, he's got one on the ready. So Keith, what are you seeing? How are people using the consoles, and what, it seems like a lot of that has been driving, a lot of the questions and things that are out there.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fascinating, actually, because we suddenly saw people going, okay, obviously we want to build something that works better, sounds better, lasts longer, etc. And I think, especially when people started getting into podcasting or streaming, maybe 6 months, 8 months ago, something like that. Now, when there was a really huge interest in it, people started shopping around, and suddenly we saw sales go crazy, because people were like, okay, I need something solid for my home studio or whatever. And we were, at the beginning, we were kind of going, well, where are these going? Like, why are we selling so much? And we realized, that's what it is people that want to have hands-on control. They want to have the interface mixer hybrid thing, because they're doing stuff on the fly. So rather than just an interface, or just a mixer with an interface, or just a whatever, it's like, the ZIs have been a huge hit for that. And then going into bigger slightly bigger things. And yeah, people are getting secondary broadcast consoles. So that's where the everything I/O and the interconnectivity of all the consoles and, you know, direct hookups comes in, because they go, yeah, I've got my D-Live in my house of worship or whatever. But actually we've got another guy who we're going to have mix the stream. So then you know, we've got consoles going into those applications a lot more. So it's, yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, as a front of house guy, I do some mixing for production stuff, but I also mix at my church and everything like that. And it is interesting. I've been mixing, you know, we got an Avantis in for our live stream setup, and it's a whole different ball game mixing for for the outside world, you know, than being in a room. And it's very interesting. So I have personally learned a lot, you know, over this trying times with COVID, you know, how to adapt and learn new things, and getting into using, you know, Allen and Heath stuff. I've been using SQ as a MIDI interface, you know, for DAW control and stuff that I never thought I would do. And it's like, oh, you know, time to learn something new and take advantage of that.
If I can comment on that too, Sean has done an incredible job with it. I've had him, I've actually worked with Sean in a live environment, and he does just incredible work and just totally pro. And I've seen his mixing style evolve for broadcast in a really incredible way, right? So let's speak to this openly, right? There's all kinds of difficulties for the people that we know and love and serve as customers in this industry right now, because touring isn't happening. But for a lot of folks who find audio to be their passion and love to mix, the great thing is right now, if you have to pivot and you have an opportunity to work on these chops in this mix, this isn't going to last forever, right? This is going to, we can see, there's hope now. We can see what this is going to look like as it goes away. And our industry is going to come back in a tremendous way. And what's cool about it is everybody who decided to pivot a little bit and try some new things, from anybody working in a, you know, little home production studio to broadcast applications, house of worship, all of these things where we've all had to try something new. I think the collective knowledge and practice is going to just be fabulous. It's going to be fantastic because there's so many people that thoroughly understand it now, and you kind of get all that. And I think the other part is people have experienced what it looks like to see everything coming through screens now. And the audio makes such a tremendous difference, right? Video with bad audio is just bad video. Right. So that helps all of us. And we've all been able, you know, like all boats are rising because of this experience. It's not fun, right? I'm not making light of it, but there's going to be some cool stuff that comes through it. And Sean, hats off to you, man, because your mixes that I've heard on the stream stuff just sound fabulous. Really cool.
I'm trying to expand. So we did actually have a question come in, but before I do that, I am going to drop our secret word for today. So just to remind everyone that we are putting up the secret words here. Make sure you write this down and get your chance to win a limited edition mystery box filled with swag and the potential for maybe winning an Allen and Heath mixer. So, all right, you're ready. So the word for today.
The secret word is lanyard.
Lanyard. Everyone, who doesn't have lanyard? Who has the collection of lanyards from all the trade shows? You know, it's amazing. So make sure that you get those that secret word, drop it in at audiobiz.com/NAMM 2021 later on this week once you collect all those secret words, and get your chance to win a prize here. But from a question standpoint, we have Andrew. He's actually flipping it up here. You know, he's like talking about the AHM64. Do we have any case studies on the AHM64 here, either here in the US or across the pond, shall we say? What are the top 3 benefits of using that matrix processor that we don't get from the website? You know, and I know, Keith, that's not necessarily your wheelhouse of product, but let's get your thoughts on, you know, what you think about the AHM64 and kind of some of the 3 top benefits.
Well, I think it's a pretty exciting platform because we saw a lot of people using D-Live for install. of course, and things like the DM0, and getting those racks in and having the IP controllers everywhere. So I think the most exciting thing about the AHM is it's another variation on the XCVI core, but it's got all of these extra. You've got the extra crossovers in there, and I think probably for me the top thing is actually the setup, because I am not an install engineer, and I could definitely set that up. So you can go in and you can listen to different points in the signal path, and you can move things around really easily, and it's a really nice interface. So I'd say actually one of the things is just the interface is awesome. Then you've got, of course, the sound quality and the other bits. I don't really need to say that, but it should be obvious to anyone watching. But yeah, the sound quality, you've got the XCVI sound quality, but in a nice install package. And then the compatibility, because it's got an S-Link port, so you can stick what you like in it. And we've also had recently announced, I think it's officially announced now. I'm always worried about those things. But the new Dante boxes, which I think is going to open up a huge number of opportunities as well, which are the little 2 in or 2 out, or 2 in and 2 out little install boxes. So I think there's going to be a lot of AHM 64s going into places with a really nice distributed audio system. So yeah, I'd just say the overall compatibility with loads of different options and the ease of use.
Cool. Well said, Keith. Can I throw in my 3? Because I'm super excited.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Obviously, very similar to some of the stuff that Keith said. But when it comes to having an install box, everybody's like, well, okay, you guys do consoles. What is it? It's really, as Keith had said, ease of use, and some of those things that come in are just tremendous. The price point and the feature set and the expandability is kind of all one package for me, right? So the fact that you can do just extraordinarily scalable, systems with our network capability for remote boxes and all those things. I don't know how to put that into one simple term, but it makes it really powerful at a price point that's really effective. The other part that I love about this, and it's not actually the AHM 64, but as you might know from our DLive products, we have a bunch of IP controllers that we manufacture. Other manufacturers have, inquired and regularly recommend our products for use with their boxes because it's an IP controller. You could do whatever you want with it. It easily connects, and we've got a lot of assignability in for all of the IP hardware controllers. So that's like the IP1, which is a little one gang wall mount box, or an IP6, which has got a bunch of rotaries and programmable buttons. We now have wall brackets that we can actually install those with. And then we have an IP8, which has 8 motorized faders and programmable buttons and screen and display, just incredible stuff. You guys probably know it if you know DLive. Those work really well with AHM 64. So really, I think my second heading is control. But the other part that's sort of the secret weapon is we have an app that we designed originally with DLive called Custom Control, right? And you can download the free software. If you're a techie and you're smart and you want to design your own interface, you can put it on any kind of tablet or phone. Doesn't matter if it's Android or Apple or whatever else it is, or a PC or Mac. We've got all that software available. And then you can design your own control mechanism for AHM 64, which is unbelievably powerful and free. So yeah, that's my number 2. And then the number 3 always counts hands down. When you talk about something that's, phase coherent and 2496 in audio quality, there's nothing else that even holds up to it. Like really big dollar processors from companies that are known for that are, Keith is really humble about this stuff. I work as a regional. I'm not so humble. Our stuff sounds amazing. And if you want to do a shootout against the other stuff, you'd literally go, why do we use that? It doesn't sound good. So I love the fact that we lead the pack in that.
I like the setup aspect, like Keith touched on that. That's the one thing I really love about all the Allen Heath stuff is if you know DLive, you can figure out an AHM64. If you know an AHM64, you can make your way around to DLive. All the kind of the menu and the thought process of signal flow and how everything is designed is done in a really good way with Allen Heath, and it really helps, especially as people are growing into consoles. Maybe they start on an SQ and then they're like, I'm going to go to an Avantis. It's really easy to do that, which is awesome. So, and Andrew, thank you for that question. And that actually kind of leads into my next question. We were going to talk about FPGAs, because that is like the heart and soul of Allen Heath right now. And because Keith already cracked the beer, it's now time for me to open up the Guinness here. So
sorry, I got
no, that's perfect. Well, gentlemen, hang on.
Yes.
I think that we do, in fact. There isn't any company HR policies against this, Keith. We're all good, right?
Yeah, we'll find out.
We need a little toast. So, while this is an interesting year, right? And I mean that in we live in interesting times in the Sun Tzu statement of the fact, right? Yeah. But here's to the interesting year. But more importantly, here's to all the people who are still here to persevere with us through it. Thank you to all the people in our organization, and most importantly, all of our customers.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers. Almost had.
So FPGA cores, we kind of started out with the design in DLive, and that's really trickled down to the rest of the, everything currently out. Why did Allen Heath switch to FPGA technology? I mean, I know why, but do you want to, let the customers know what, kind of what your thought process was about that, and what really FPGA brings to all of the console lineup?
Do you want, after you, Pat, if you like? I mean,
actually, I was going to just see if we could just boil it down. But what is it specifically about FPGA? And then I also am going to spin this just a little bit. So if you could just talk to us about why, what is it about FPGA that Allen Heath said, this is what we're going to do and this is why we're going to do it? And then the most important thing is, how does that parallel to strategy in cricket?
Ooh.
Okay, so give us the first one. What is it about FPGA that Allen Heath said, what? This is where we're going and this is why?
It's to do with LBW, which is leg before wicket, which is it's not, sorry. But FPGA, it's fairly simple why we went for it, actually. It's because we're pretty obsessive. I'm trying to be less British. We tried really hard. Yes, thanks. Sorry. we are obsessive about audio. We are obsessive about what we do. You can go into the factory and you can walk around R&D, and people aren't talking about, generally, I mean, sometimes, it's not that bad, but like generally people are just talking about audio and the technology all the time, whether it's in the canteen, in the corridors, outside the building, because everyone's so passionate about it. And part of it with the FPGA was that we wanted to do it ourselves, because we have an idea of what we want to do. We don't want to buy in something and brand it up. We don't want to go, we'll get some DSP chips in, and then we'll say that's an Allen Heath, and we'll stick some different knobs on it or something. It's like we want to create the whole thing, know it front to back. And using FPGAs, the reason for that is that we could build it ourselves. So rather than having a DSP farm where you've got a bunch of different chips and you go, I need more channels, add more chips. We build the whole thing into a single chip, and it uses virtual DSP cores and virtual cores in there. So for example, I mean, DLive being the biggest, that's got the Dyne engine in it. It's got a Deep engine in it. It's got obviously all the processing for 128 channels, etc. But all of that is then in one chip. And for me, one of the most, it's not strictly linked to FPGA, but one of the most incredible things I've seen whilst looking over people's shoulders is when people start doing timing alignment on tracks. So if you look at the tracks, don't pull apart your Allen Heath mixer, but if you look at the board, you'll see there's lots of little like wiggly lines in the tracks, and they're there because they're lengthening the wires, if you like. So you've got more wires, it's just scrunched up. So we're obsessive about timing and obsessive about audio quality. And all of that happens in the FPGA. So by designing it ourselves, we can build it however we like. Everything runs in parallel. Everything runs ridiculously fast. And it means that you have this complete coherency of audio. It works like an analog console, where the sound's traveling at the speed of light. It's like that. You're not putting in delays here and there. So sorry, I'm getting a bit into it, and it's getting a bit long-winded.
It shows the passion.
To be able to do that and then have variable bit depths in there, so you have the headroom where you need it. So we go up to 96-bit in there, so you've got huge amounts of space. So all of that is because we've designed the whole thing from scratch ourselves, rather than use an off-the-shelf component and add a couple of switches to it. So
that's awesome, dude. I think that I know Alex from Alaska a little bit. He and I have been chatting through NAMM already, and I think that you probably just made his day, and it's probably worth him getting on a call at 7 a.m. just to hear all that from you. That's awesome, dude. I'd like to throw in just a couple things. I don't want to interrupt, though. Do you want to talk more? You good?
No, don't let me talk more.
These guys are so humble as a company, and I've had the privilege of working for several manufacturers. And the fun thing about Allen Heath, and I've been here 3 years in this capacity, I worked as a rep for Allen Heath for more than a decade. So I've had a long relationship with the company, and it just love the character, and I love the culture that exists now in Allen Heath. It's always been exceptional, but it's risen even in the last 3 years that I've experienced. And we did have a transition to a new managing director. And one of the things that I like to share with people is, culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's a cheesy old business saying at this point, but it really does make a difference, right? It's why you get up and do what you do. It's who you choose to associate with. You want to work with products that are valid and that are solid, and that is the culture that permeates Allen Heath. Now, Keith is modest and quite Brit and saying, well, we're just a bit obsessive. Obsessive begins and ends throughout the entire organization at every point in their stage. And what I've experienced working as a regional in the US, and I've had the chance to work with these guys directly and travel with the managing director, Dr. Rob Clark, he's not an MBA that they pulled out of some school, Oxford, that's all about business and selling widgets. Rob Clark has been with the company 25 years now, I think, and has been at the head of the engineering side of the company his entire career. And now he's the managing director. And what I see from the US is there's all kinds of people who become the leader of something because they're famous for one thing or another. But what I love about it is the culture is that he's actually been at the forefront of all of these incredible developments for the company over decades. Right? And he's got a PhD in digital signal processing. I think I've got that right. And he's still the guy that is so passionate about it while he's running the entire company worldwide. He's geeking out about the envelope that he's designing into the latest compressor model that they're building. And you look at that and go, wait a minute, this is like Bill Gates and beyond. This isn't just a guy who knows how to demo the product. He's still building it. So that comes from the top. And I see it in all of the product management, the strategy, the business approach, everything that Allen Heath does. So hats off to the whole team, Keith. You guys are just incredible in that. And the other little aside that I think Keith is a little humble in saying is we did FPGA, and there aren't very many companies that can do that. I mean, that's an incredible amount of just engineering horsepower, like just talent beyond belief. And what's kind of fun is, not that it would ever happen in mixing consoles, but some companies just reverse engineer product and then they throw it out and put their name on it. Not so easy to do when you have to try to figure out how to reverse engineer an FPGA. Matter of fact, it can't be done. So it's intellectual property as well.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you guys, because I would agree that the FPGA technology really took Allen and Heath to this new stratosphere of consoles, and it's cool that it's from the lower end of the line, on a more affordable basis, all the way up to the flagship products and everything like that. So I think that's awesome, and I love using the desk. So well, it looks like we're actually kind of coming up here on the close of our time here, but I did want to mention a few things that Allen Heath is doing a bunch of sessions for the virtual NAMM, and I just want to highlight a couple. There's on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific, just so I've got that correct. Check me if I'm wrong there, Pat. There's the prime time where Rob Clark and Jeff Holly are actually going to be talking about the new Prime input and output cards that Allen Heath has come out with, the D Live. We've got 4 p.m. We've got the Make Your Mix Sparkle with Johnny Sparkle here, talking about how to use the SQ and how to get a good mix with that. And Keith is also going to be coming on at 5:30 p.m. Talking about A to Z, talking about all the analog mixers. Keith has got that Z on the ready. And on Friday, there's also a good session at 9 a.m. Keith is also going to be doing a good SQ overview with guest engineers, which is going to be a really cool one. I'm going to definitely check that one out. We've also got some worship sessions with Lincoln Brewster at 10 a.m. Another one that I also want to catch too is Going Deep, where Rob Clark and Michael Bangs are going to be talking about deep processing and what that means throughout the line, which is awesome. 1 p.m. Also excited about this. Looks like Jack is going to be talking about some Avantis firmware updates. So I want to definitely check that one out. And most important, 5:30 on Friday, virtual cocktail hour with Allen and Heath. So get your drink ready to have some cocktails with the Allen and Heath team and be able to interact and everything. Looks like we got a late arriver here. We've got a message for you, Pat, from Mr. Jim Rip. He'll be there. So.
Thanks, Jim. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
But yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. So, Pat, you want to say something?
Yeah, just a real quick in reference to the NAMM stuff. NAMM's free this year. And if you see this and you want to log in, you can just sign up. And you can go to the Allen and Heath Manufacturers virtual booth, and all of our stuff is running continuously. And we have over 20 events. There's a limit to how many we can actually list on the NAMM site. There's only 8 because there's so many things going on that there's, it's got to be a little smaller. However, you can log into that, and if you want to, you can just leave it on your screen and let it run for 2 days. And if you want to tune in on everything that we do, it's about every half hour. Some are hour events. If you'd like to see that full schedule, that's available at the Allen and Heath website. So you can jump in through either mechanism, however you like, and please join us for anything that you have interest. If you would like follow-up or have specific questions for your country or your territory or your area, just drop something over to us, and either I or somebody on our team will follow up with you as well. Thanks, Sean.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you guys again for joining us on this virtual NAMM. And anyone who's watching, if you've got more questions or are interested in a demo or anything like that, reach out to us at Audiobiz. You can hit up the website at audiobiz.com, and we'll put you in contact with the right people and get you the information that you need. So I appreciate you guys giving up your time. And Keith, thank you for coming us from all the way over in cloudy England, and finishing off your day with us. So
thank you so much for inviting me. It's been fun.
Awesome. Well, here's to Allen and Heath and another successful year. So
NAMM
all right, guys. Cheers. Thank you.